Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel. Today I am making an ornament for you. I don't know if you've noticed, but all this week the designers have been sharing different ornaments made with products from the Trinity Stamps shop. So I'm going to make a scented felt ornament for you today using this die set, the Santa mug die set, one of my faves. I am cutting this out from felt, so I have red felt for my mug. I'm going to cut 2 of these, and it runs through the die machine beautifully with felt. I'm going to cut out one of the gingerbread men for the front of my mug to decorate it up with, and I found the perfect color felt for that. And then I'm going to do some berries and some holly leaves for decoration, also from this same die set. The holly leaves are my favorite because they have like embossed lines in them that give the leaves detail, and I can't believe it showed up on the felt. That's so cool. All right, then I have the whipped cream for the top. You got to have that. I also die cut 2 of this piece as well. And then I'm bringing in the Sweet Holiday Wishes die set using one of the candy canes from the set and die cutting it from red felt. And that is going to be a nice little accent. So I've laid things out how I want them to be, and I need to do a little bit of hot gluing before I start stitching. I'm going to put just a touch of glue on my little gingerbread man to hold him in place so that I can stitch it a little bit easier. And then these things that I'm hot gluing on the whipped cream won't be stitched at all, so I'm doing little dots of hot glue to hold them down. And I am not going to put a white backer on my candy cane since the back of the whipped cream is white. The whipped cream is behind it and it's white, so I thought that was sufficient. And then I'll add my little berries and holly very last. And I think the holly on there, the touch of green, was really needed because there's so much red going on this little ornament. So there we have it, and I'm going to snip off the excess of the candy cane. Don't really need that. And then I'm going to hot glue this to the mug and create like it's one piece. And then I'll do the same thing for the back. I'm going to line up the whipped cream with the whipped cream on the front, and then I'm going to use that as like a guide to glue the whipped cream to the back mug. Just like that. Next, I am pulling out my DMC floss in white and separating it down the middle, so I'll be working with 3 strands of thread instead of 6. I'm going to thread that through my needle, and then I take the end of the thread and wrap it around the needle 3 times. I hold that knot and pull my needle through, and you can see there, it creates the knot at the end of my thread. Next, I'm going to stitch on all the pieces that need stitching before I adhere or stitch the 2 pieces together. So I'm doing the gingerbread man and doing a back stitch. So I'm stitching, taking a stitch, then on the next stitch when I go back down, I'm going back through the previous stitch, and that's going to give me a solid line of stitching all the way around, kind of like if you were adding icing to a gingerbread cookie. Now, I need to tell you, I am not an expert at stitching, but I really love making felt ornaments. I've made them before, and it's so much fun, and I especially love to be able to use my dies in a different way than besides just with paper. So there is my imperfect stitching. Right? It's okay. My stitches are not the same length. Some are crooked, but it's homemade. So I am taking my white gel pen, just kind of giving myself a little bit of an indicator where I want to make the eyes. And I'm going to do a French knot for this one. So I pull my thread up from the back, wrap the thread around my needle 2 times, and then go back down near where I just came up. I'm going to hold the thread tight while I push the needle through, and then when it gets really small, I can let go of that thread, and there's my eye. So let's do that again on the other eye and wrap it around twice. Go back down like right next to where you came up, and then pull that through. And there's his wonky little eyes. I'm going to do a little mouth, a little smile with, again, some back stitching, and that gives him his cute little face. You could also do some French knots for the buttons, but I'm going to use some embellishments for that at the end, so stay tuned. And here's his little face. It makes me laugh. It's so wonky. But we're going with it. Okay, I'm adding glue to the inside of the handle. I'm not going to stitch the inside of the handle, just around the outer edge of the handle and the outer edge of the cup. So I'm going to use a blanket stitch here. Now I made my thread just like really super long, but I'm going to try to show this to you. I took a stitch only through the front layer to hide my knot, and then I'm going through both layers, and then you'll see as I get towards the end of pulling it through, there's a loop, and you want to take your needle back through that loop, and then you just repeat that. So I'm going through both layers and I'm pulling it down until there's a little loop, and then I will go through that loop. This is going to give you that line of thread that goes around the edge of your project. So if you really want a tutorial on the blanket stitch, just like Google it or search it on YouTube and you'll get a tutorial just on that that's a lot easier to see, because I'm using red felt and red twine or floss, so it's kind of hard to really see what's happening there, but I will show you what it looks like when I go all the way around, and you can see it'll probably look familiar to you when you see it all done. And if you are a well-seasoned embroiderer or cross stitcher, then you know all of these things, and you're probably yelling some tips at me right now. I could really use them. But there you can see the stitching all the way around. I just need to do the inside of the mug, but now I have an opening where I can go ahead and stuff it. So I'm going to do this little area right here, and I thought I'd show you again the blanket stitch, how I took my stitch just through the front layer and then tucked my ends of my knot down in there. Now I'm going through this handle because I need to work from the back side, and if I had stayed where I was and tried to take a stitch, I would end up getting my thread wrapped around the handle. So that's why I put my needle back through the handle, and I thought I would leave that in just in case you happen to remake this project. It would give you a pointer on stitching this little area. See how I have to go back through the handle before I take my next stitch from the back side. So yeah, continuing with that blanket stitch on this little area. So I'm going through both layers. Before I pull it all the way tight, I leave a little loop. There's a little loop there. You just run your needle through it, and then I pull it tight and move on to the next one. There's a pretty good shot of what the blanket stitch looks like. I love it. And it's really cool with contrasting thread. I just felt the need to do red today. Okay, to make this scented, I have some essential oils and I have a piece of wool felt, a little scrap piece, and I'm putting about 5 drops of this oil on there. Did you know there was coffee oil? It smells so good, but you could use cinnamon oil or clove oil, orange, peppermint, wintergreen. There's so many different essential oils, and for this kind of project you don't need to get the super expensive oils, right? You're just using it for scent, not for like medicinal purposes. So having it on a piece of wool felt is going to help you just be able to tuck it in there and it not like leak through to your project. So I tucked that in. It smells so good. I had to do a little test on how it smelled once it was in there, but I did do the felt earlier on in the project so it could really like absorb into that felt. Okay, so now I'm just tacking down the very tip top of that whipped cream where it meets. And then I'm going to run some twine through there. I have red twine here, and this is going to be the hanger for my ornament. So I just run it through, take the 2 ends, wrap them around my finger, tuck the 2 ends through the hole I created, and pull it tight. And there I have my hanger. Okay, then I need to stitch the whipped cream together. Now, probably doing the blanket stitch might have been a little bit easier here, but I am going to do a back stitch, those stitch I did around the gingerbread man. And some of the areas were a little bit harder to do this because my embellishment pieces overlap. So I had to do just kind of like a running stitch in that area, but you can't really see it, at least not from the front. The back is a little bit different. This is the one spot where the back is not as clean as the front, or the messy stitches are not hidden. Yeah, but I decided it was okay. So next I'm adding cute little buttons to my gingerbread man. I have used this gingerbread man a few times already in my videos, and every time I use these Bubblemint clay elements as his buttons, and I just can't stop. It's so cute. So I thought it would be perfect on the ornament as well. Next I have the Ruby Radiance rhinestones, and I'm going to use the biggest rhinestone and put them right over those felt berries. And I love that there's a little bit of red peeking around, but also these gemstones have like an iridescent finish on the top, and so it just makes it look super fancy, and I love that. And then I need a little bit more something something for my candy cane. So I am going to bring in the Crafty Gluefriend. It works on felt. So I'm going to use that to adhere some rock candy glitter. I'm just going to fill in each of those openings on my candy cane and then sprinkle on the rock candy glitter. Now this glue dries clear and the glitter is clear glitter, so this should make a really cool ornament with glitter accents. And we have the rhinestones, we have the clay bits. Like, I just love embellishment, so I feel having those three different things is so cool. And here's what it looks like when the glue is dry, and that is my entire ornament. I had so much fun making this. I love that it smells good and that it has the little accents on it. I love that. So that is my ornament. If you missed any of the other ornament videos, you should definitely watch them. There are some really cool things like hot foiling on felt. Cassie showed us like this special paper you can stitch on and rub off. Oh my goodness, really cool things. So make sure you check that out. And if you want more inspiration from Trinity Stamps, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook too. I'll see you all again very soon on the next video. Happy stamping! Bye!